right, guys, welcome to today's Limitless Agency team call. Today is September 21st. Just went through some super exciting updates, and we have only 1 week left for the cruise qualification in Bahamas. So we're super excited about that. And we're super excited about our special guest on today's call, Miss Somia Koksum. She is out of Dallas, Texas, and Somia has been here for how many months now?
August of last year was actually my first full month, so
Okay.
just hit a little over a year now. Yeah,
All right. So you got it all figured out already, I'm sure.
I
So,
wish, but
guys, Samaya is going to break down some mindset hacks, some activity things that have really helped her. And I had the pleasure to be with you last month in Dallas, listen to you dial and kind of see you work. And guys, in terms of, where she was at when she first started to the last couple of months of just skyrocketing production, skyrocketing activity, and what comes along with that is a lot of good habits and mindset hacks. And so Maya, if you want to start out kind of just with some background info, and then we can dive right into it.
yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on here. This is such a blessing in itself. But no, yeah, so joined with FFL back in August of last year was the first full month, and I actually started with a different company. Kind of fell into the insurance industry by mistake. I was in college at the time, just kind of looking for some work from home jobs that I could make decent money while still going to school. So whenever I first got recruited into the industry, the guy that actually recruited me didn't really say that it was life insurance, but he was just like, hey, you can make a lot of money doing this. I was like, okay, cool, I'll try it out. So started with them, it just wasn't a good fit. And then that's kind of how I found FFL. Just started doing everything telesales and just wasn't really seeing results. Like, of course it was, me not really knowing what I was doing, but also I just wasn't putting in the work. I wasn't putting in the activity. I wasn't really committed to the process. So it took a little bit of figuring out for me to get to this point for sure. But I'm definitely happy that I stuck it out, because I guess it was just like a belief, like I knew this is what I wanted to do. I just had to figure it out.
Love it. I just saw you're like 3 families protected for the day almost before the call. And what I noticed is something I love to see is you have when you have your sales and your presentations, you put like your first one is 1 out of 25, 2 out of 25, 3 out of 25. And so your activity goal is to hit 25 presentations every single week.
Definitely, definitely. It wasn't, I just started doing that, I want to say maybe like 3 months ago now, but it's been a game changer, because if you're just, oh, I'll just dial and, see how many prezzies I can get, it's not as, set in stone as my goal is 25. I need to get to 25 no matter, what it takes.
I love that. Yeah, when we started Samaya, it was, let's control the things we can control. So we can control how many leads we buy, we can control how much we work, we can control our dials, and we can also control our activity. And what I love about this business is, like, I'm not the best salesperson. You're probably a really good salesperson, but if you just do that activity and you have 25, 30 appointments, we always say if you have 30 appointments a week, there's no way to fail. And the reason why is because you're stacking the deck in your favor, versus like when I was new, and I'm sure it's the same thing with you, when you have 5 or 6 or 7 appointments and 2 or 3 or 4 no show you, 2 say they want to think about it, and maybe you sell 1 or 2, like that's that's like a roller coaster. It's really tough to make it.
Right.
And then if one charges back, it's like, what's going on? When
Right.
before you really made the next step, what do you think your activity was in terms of appointments per week?
Oh gosh, embarrassing. Honestly, it was like I said I was full time, but I really wasn't full time with my activity. I wanted to be off the phone by like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Started maybe around like 9 or 10. So just really limited dialing hours, not really prioritizing the best time to dial, which is in the evenings, when everybody's home. So I probably was doing, if 10 presentations a week, if that, truly.
Got it. What are your typical hours from start to finish every day?
Now, I'm in the office. I go to FFL office in Dallas, so I'm there by 8, usually from like 8 to 8:30, just checking emails, getting my day ready to go. But no later than 8:30 am I making my first dial, and then usually I'm dialing honestly until like 12:1, depending on, where I'm at for presentations, or if I've already hit my goal, I'll still go to, 2, 3 some days before I even take a break. So definitely starting at 8:30 up until, I hit whatever presentation goal I set for the morning. And then I'm usually back on the phones by like 4 o'clock until like 7 or 8.
Got it. Okay. So if you didn't hear what she said, guys, mornings and night times is by far the best time to reach people. And I think the reason why is because unless they're retired, most people are going to be working from like the middle of the day to the afternoon, and they're probably not going to answer the phone. Or if they do, their spouse isn't there. You don't want to do it one-legged. And so that makes
Right.
in terms of in terms of activity, you increase your activity, you increase your schedule with your dialing and kind of the hours you were working. In terms of leads, can you talk about, what may have changed from before to now in terms of like how often you're buying, what kind, how much you're spending, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. So I think whenever I first started, like so many other people, it's hard to make that initial investment in leads. So I would spend, $500 here, try to work those leads for, 2 weeks, and it just wasn't enough to hit my production goals that I really wanted. So I finally just, I made the decision. I moved to Dallas specifically to, do this full time and really be serious about it. So I was like, okay, if I'm moving over here, I need to go all in, in every aspect. And I didn't have, financially the funds to, spend $1,500 a week on leads, but I knew if I started to, the money would come, I would start seeing the results. So honestly, I was taking out credit cards, I was taking out a personal loan just to, be able to keep my lead flow high so that way I could keep my production high. So, I mean, the only thing that's really changed is that I'm increasing my lead spend and just diversifying my lead flow. If one thing starts slowing down, okay, I'm switching it. I'm just always consistently getting leads and making sure I have enough people to talk to every single day.
Got it. So a couple $100 a week to now, on average, what do you think you're spending any given week?
In a given week right now, I know my lead spend is right around like 6,000. So I'd say between like 1,500 to 2K, depending on the week right now. Yeah.
Got it. So guys, there's a couple different ways we can increase activity. One of them is obviously going to be dials. The second one is going to be buying more leads, having more at bats, and the third one's going to be being smart and like trying to add on things like referrals, annuities, IUL, stuff like that. So you're at around 1,500, and there's no doubt that's why you're now protecting over 10 families every single week. What, in terms of like final expense, mortgage protection, IUL, internet, what does that breakdown kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so I love the instance with bennies from the ILC. I was running those for a minute and I still do to kind of supplement. I'm doing a lot of Facebook, IULs for final expense. Honestly, kind of a mix. I don't do too much mortgage protection, but if that's what they're looking for, that's what I'm going to pitch. But usually more so like final expense, IUL stuff.
Okay, got it. And in terms of mindset, Samaya, I think a lot of people, like new agents every single day, we were all there. It's almost like a scary, it's unknown. It's like your backdrop. It's like we're traveling into the unknown. We don't know what's around the corner. We've never been through this.
Right.
What are some things or like some hacks you could give a new agent that maybe they're scared to buy leads? They're definitely scared to dial the phone, and they just kind of don't know how to move, and that fear is holding them back. What are some tips you would give them?
Great question. I feel like this is something we actually talked about on our team training not too long ago. For me, at least, it was just kind of like a belief in myself. Like I knew if somebody else could be successful doing this, I know me, I know, my tenacity, I know my discipline, I know I can hold myself accountable. So why can't I go and be successful at, the same thing that somebody's laying it out step by step how they succeeded? So I think it comes down to, knowing yourself. Like, are you disciplined enough to hold yourself accountable? It's not just about buying the leads, but are you disciplined enough to work the leads? Are you disciplined enough to, even during rejection, keep going? Whenever people are telling you no and screw off, can you keep, rolling with it and keep, looking around for the yes? So it kind of just comes down to just being okay with, the rejection side of it, knowing that it's not going to be probably won't be immediate returns, but if you keep showing up every day, you may not be immediately profitable, but if you keep showing up, you keep staying consistent, it's definitely going to come. And, I'm proof of that. I didn't really start seeing success in this business till months into it. And if I would have given up, 6 months in, I wouldn't be having, the numbers that I have now. So just really comes down to fully believing in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect anybody else to believe in you? How do you expect anybody else to buy from you? It really all is a mental thing.
Facts, 100%. And for you, in terms of getting that activity to 25 presentations a week, obviously you're working hard, you're buying leads, all that kind of stuff. Can we talk about patterns in terms of like we start at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 and we call? Do we also like talk about like when you text them? After how many times do you call them? Do you text them? Do we leave voicemails? Do we have like automations? Like, can you kind of talk about things that can help someone's activity to actually get more appointments?
Yeah, so with a lot of the Facebooks that I run, they come in, drip forms. So as they're filling it out, it comes into me. So I give them a call, I call them twice. If they don't answer, then I send them a text, hey, this is Somia, just getting back to you about that request. What time are you available for me to give you a call? And I do have a lot of people respond to the text. If they don't answer, oh yeah, I'm off at 5, give me a call after then. And then from there, I can just give them a call, but definitely trying to get a hold of them as soon as possible. Like I said, calling them twice, I send them that initial text, and then from there, if I can't get a hold of them, I'm just going to keep, blowing up their phone until I hear back, whether that be another text, whether that be, a voicemail if they haven't responded to the text, just, multiple forms of contact.
Got it. And at what point, like, so let's say you buy a lead today on a Thursday, at what point from texting them, emailing them, calling them, voicemails, at what point do you kind of move that lead to the back of your stack and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna like I've given it all I got? Is that 2 weeks? Is that a month? Like, what does that look like for you?
I don't know if I necessarily move them into, like a separate thing, like, oh, haven't heard from them, I'm just gonna let it go. Just in my pipeline, as the leads keep coming in, people get pushed further and further to the back. So I may not be, following up with them as much. But on my days where maybe it's a little bit slower and I'm like, okay, my production isn't where I want it to be, I'm doing, 500 dials today minimum, then that's when I'll kind of go through everybody that maybe I haven't been able to get a hold of before and do, either, another reach out for via phone calls, put them in like a text strip campaign, just something so that way, if I haven't gotten a hold of them at that point, I'm still giving them a couple more chances before, I just have too many leads, I don't have the time to get back with them again.
Got it. Okay. So I saw the other day in your guys' group chat, someone put like immediate drafts only, or maybe it might have been you. You said like immediate drafts only, or like we go for immediate drafts only. That's always the way I've tried to do it because one, we want to get the person protected. Like the coverage doesn't start until they pay their first premium. So that's one reason, but also for issue pay, for you to get paid for its account, we need that to go as quick as possible. What are some things like once we get kind of down to that close that the bank information and we're closing down the appointment in the e-app, what are some things you do? What's the verbiage to try to make it so it's an immediate draft?
Yeah, for sure. So usually what I like to say, I'm just like, all right, Mary, so the way this works is that first premium payment will start your coverage. Now, is there any reason why you didn't want your coverage to start immediately? Like kind of saying it in a way like, why wouldn't you want your coverage to go into effect immediately? And most people in that case are going to be like, oh, no, yeah, I can start immediately. Or, if for whatever reason they don't have the money at that point, then we find, the soonest date, but just kind of phrasing in a way like, okay, you obviously want your coverage to start immediately. So what's going to be the best date for that to happen? So that way I can shoot for that, immediate draft.
Smart. Okay. And then after you sell them, like we're kind of like cooling down the appointment, they're approved. What are some steps that you take in terms of like texting them, telling them information? Like, how do you do that to make sure they know, what they have? They're going to keep it. They're not going to cancel it. They're not going to have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, so I try to do a really good job of solidifying, hey, any questions I can answer for you, well, I've got you, I'm going to be your broker for life. This is my number. Save me in your phone as Samaya Life Insurance, or however you need to do to remember me by. So that way, if you have any questions, concerns, need to make any changes, give me a call. I'll be the one helping you out with that moving forward. Other than that, I'll send you a text message as well from this direct number with all your policy information. That way you can plug me in your phone too. But, have a good day. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I feel like with all my clients recently too, for sure, I've just had a super like genuine connection with everybody. And I have people following me on Facebook now. They're, oh, hey, you're my life insurance agent. Like, do you remember me? I'm like, oh yeah, Mary, hey, what's up? And like, we're messaging on Facebook. So I feel like I have a really good relationship with these people just from our initial phone call. But even after that, sending the text message. I also just started doing like thank you letters out in the mail too, with more business cards. So that way they can give that out to people for referrals. So I think it's all been super solid.
Very nice, very nice. That's something I think we forget, Samaya, is people buy from people they like. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and like they're very like straightforward to the point. Like there's no joking around. It's just like we're getting straight to business. And sometimes I'm like, hey, sometimes like you should try to joke around with them and like have a more of a like personal side, because if they feel weird and they don't really like you, they're probably not going to buy. So that's super important.
Right.
Samaya, if you could give one tip to yourself when you started, to that newest agent, what tip would that be?
100% just go all in. Just like try it out fully 90 days, see where you're at, because 9 times out of 10, if you're fully committed to the process, the activity, the lead spin for just 90 days, you're going to start really bankrolling and it's not going to make sense for you to quit. So if I would have just from the jump really committed to the process, I would have started seeing success a lot sooner, I'm sure. But what's done is done. Now I know. But for the new agent, for sure, if you're going to do this, don't be half in, half out with it. Like just really commit, and that's when you really start seeing the results, anyways.
Yeah, it's like that. Have you seen that image where like the miner is like hitting the like the dirt and like gold's on the other side? And it's like if you quit too soon, you may have been one more call, one more lead away from
One hit, yeah.
So awesome. Well, Samaya, let's end this with goals we have to finish out the year. And then I'm super excited for you because I feel like next year is your first full year where you're locked in, systems are to go, everything's going. What are some goals for the end of this year and then next year in 2024?
Yeah, so end of this year for sure. I started the year, I said I want to deposit $100,000 in my bank account. And for the first 6 months, it wasn't looking like that was going to happen. But obviously, you guys have seen I've completely changed things around. So I'm excited to say that I'm definitely on track to hitting that goal still. So that's still in the works. But as far as next year, 100% Hall of Fame, getting that red jacket, and then definitely going to have our team up and rolling and producing minimum 100K a month for sure.
I love that. I love that. Let's go. Well, we're going to hold you to that, Samaya. Hall of Fame next year is a lock. And I think actually this year and next year is going to be in Dallas, Texas. So that'll be cool for you to get your red
I
jacket
know.
stage in your hometown.
Definitely, definitely.
So awesome. Samaya, one last thing. If someone is in Dallas or maybe they're just anywhere in the US and they want to work with you, you're a virtual sales expert. How can they get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram, samaya.c, or just shoot me a text, 254-458-2866. And yeah, that's the best way.
Awesome. Well, thanks for getting on. We really enjoyed this. This is going to be on YouTube. And guys, we'll see you next week. Let's finish out this, or let's start out this new week strong and have a great weekend.